And we are back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are now going to talk about some of the current regimes in the NFL under the most pressure to improve. Who's on the hot seat, really, is what we're talking about here. And there's definitely several. There's definitely several. Mainly, I mean, the number one is obviously, the team that I root for, and that is the New York Giants. That is a regime that is under a lot of pressure to do well this season. Because, I mean, you go to the end of the year and you hear what the owner's saying, they got to get something done. And it's kind of hard for them. I think no matter what happens, I think they're going to be gone. I just don't see a scenario based off of the schedule. I just don't see it. I don't see the Giants doing well in 2025. And that is going to lead to yet another coaching and general manager change. I mean, maybe with Brian Daboll and Joe Shane, their backs against the wall, they surprise us. I mean, we still got the draft, right? And I think what's going to end up happening is Travis Hunter is going to go to Cleveland, and I'm not happy about it because I that's what I want. I want to add more offensive talent to the Giants. They need it. But listen, if they take Abdul Carter, so be it. But yeah, the Giants have the draft. And if they can knock this draft out of the park, maybe. And look, if they could win, if they could be competitive, if they can get into December and they are still playing meaningful football, then maybe Brian Daboll and Joe Shane have bought themselves more time. However, if they have another year, which I think could happen, because of the schedule. If they have another year like they did last year, they're gone. They're gone. That is the team that has the most pressure right now. Now, some of the other teams, you take a look at the Dolphins. What have the Dolphins done in the Mike McDaniel era? They have not won a playoff game. They've gotten to the playoffs, but that's it. That's it. Now, part of it has to do with Tua being hurt, Tua's health. And they took a bit of a gamble on giving Tua that contract. Because already it didn't pay off. Because last year, again, sustained a concussion, got a concussion, was out for several games, came back. Now the Dolphins could have made the playoffs. They were close, but they lost some crucial games. They lost that close game to the Cardinals when Tua first came back. He was not great against the Texans. And that was a one-score game. They lost to the Bills late in the year on a game-winning field goal by Tyler Bass. They just missed out on the playoffs. And had Tua been healthy the whole year, that would have been a playoff team. But you're now going into, what is this now? This is year 4 with Mike McDaniel. Like, we need to see results here. Because the previous 2 years, you made the playoffs. First year, okay, backup quarterback. Although they did put up 30 points, but they still lost to the Bills. And then they had no chance to beat the Chiefs. They had none. None. Like, you knew the Chiefs were winning that game. You knew the Dolphins had no chance. And now they just didn't make the playoffs at all. And, the quarterback play when Tua was out was not good. You had Skylar Thompson come in, and he got hurt. And then, you had Tyler Huntley playing, and he wasn't really that good. And, I think Tim Boyle played a little bit. Now they signed Zach Wilson. So if Tua gets hurt, Zach Wilson is going to be the quarterback for the Dolphins. And they got a lot of talent on offense. The defense has been a bit of an issue. So, yeah, I think this... Look, if the Dolphins finish with a bad record, they don't make the playoffs. I don't even... I think even if they make the playoffs, if they don't win a playoff game, I think you seriously got to consider changing coaches. Really do think that. Again, this is year 4. the Dolphins took a step back last year. Again, because Tua got hurt. Let's see what happens this year. If Tua could stay healthy the whole year, let's see where they finish. But if they, I think if they miss out on the playoffs and Tua's healthy the whole year, I think you got to make a change. You have to. I think a couple of the old coordinators from the Eagles, I think there's some pressure there. The Colts, with Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard, those guys, I think this is a crucial year for them. They kind of took a step back last year. Anthony Richardson didn't take that next step. They brought in Daniel Jones. I think we'll see Daniel Jones at some point during the year. We're going to see that. But, there's pressure on the Colts. You got the draft. You got to improve that defense. And they did that in the offseason. They signed an edge rusher. They signed, actually, no. Did they sign? What did the Colts do this offseason? I know they signed Charvarius Ward. They did lose some guys on the offensive line. But I think it comes down to the quarterback play, honestly. Yeah, they signed guys in the secondary. Ward, Cameron Bynum, Corey Ballantyne. Yeah, no, I was thinking of Adenabo going elsewhere. But yeah, I think this is a make or break year for Shane Steichen, possibly Chris Ballard, because now he's going into what? Now he's going into year 3. He's going into year 3. Jonathan Gannon's going into year 3. Got to make the playoffs. 2023 they came really close, and they missed out. Last year they took a step back. Actually, yes, they did take a step back. They still won 8 games. Previous year they won 9. But I think with better quarterback play, Colts probably make the playoffs. They're not far off. They're not far off like the Giants. And the Dolphins aren't far off either, but still, they've been getting to the playoffs, and they haven't won. Now this is Mike McDaniel's 4th year. This is Shane Steichen's 3rd year. But yeah, quarterback play has got to be better. Defense got to be better. They got good young receivers on this team. They got one of the best running backs in the league in Jonathan Taylor. Let's see what happens. But yeah, I also think Jonathan Gannon's up there too. The Cardinals were in first place at one point last year, and they ended up not making the playoffs. The first year, Kyler Murray was out, tore his ACL, was still recovering from that. Cardinals weren't expected to be good. This past season, I guess you could say the same thing, but, this is a big year, I think, for the Cardinals. And they're going to have to deliver. So, and you know what? I actually would throw in Zach Taylor and the Bengals' current regime. I would throw them in there. 9-8 the last 2 years. You've missed the playoffs. I know the previous year Joe Burrow got hurt, but if the Bengals don't make the playoffs in 2025, I think it's going to be because their defense is still not good, but I think, I think for Zach Taylor and the Bengals regime, they could be out as well. So I would put them in there. Also, what was the other team I was looking at? The Browns, maybe, with Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. I don't know. They kind of made this mess with Deshaun Watson. Jimmy Haslam also commented on the Deshaun Watson trade as well. He had a lot to do with it too. But the Browns, they won 11 games in 2023 and then complete opposite in 2024. They only won 3. So, it's a possibility that you have another year like you did in 2024. They could be out. But I do think, like, for the Giants and the Dolphins and the Colts, I feel like those are the teams. I mean, especially the Giants. They have to do well this year, because if they don't, they're out. And I don't. And I think the playoffs wouldn't be good enough. Now, I mean, if the Dolphins are like the number 1 seed and they get a first round bye and they lose, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. But Mike McDaniel has to make the playoffs and win a playoff game, in my opinion. Now, if he doesn't make the playoffs at all, he's out. So it's a big year for some teams, and we'll see what happens. But let me know what you guys think. What current regime do you think is under the most pressure to do well in 2025? Let me know in the comments. Well, who's on the hot seat? The ones that you believe are on the hot seat. Let me know in the comments. Actually, I mean, we can talk about the Bills. The Bills with Sean McDermott. I mean, they made it to the championship game again, but they lost to the Chiefs. At one point, do you say, you know what? Maybe we got to do something else. I don't know. That one's like an honorable mention, because the Bills are a playoff team every year, and they do win playoff games. It's just they lose against that team, the Chiefs. But if they lose to the Chiefs again and Sean McDermott gets let go, it's like the Chiefs have costed people jobs. Now you can't say that about the Ravens, because John Harbaugh just got an extension. So, all right. So we're gonna take our next break. When we come back, we will talk about the NL West, because right now it is the best division in baseball. So we will get into that when we return from our next break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.